Ms. Berner, if you would call roll, please.
Mayor Lowry,
Here.
Councilman Grimm,
Here.
Councilman Rodwald,
Here.
Councilman Nowakowski,
Here.
Councilman Cobb,
Here.
Councilman Eggleston,
Here.
Vice Mayor Cook.
Here.
7 members present.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And moving on to the invocation tonight by Mr. Vice Mayor Cook.
If you will please all bow our heads. Our Heavenly Father, please grant us the wisdom to conduct the business for this city which we have taken solemn oath. Please also provide the protection for our first responders, our city administration, our folks that are in the military, all of our citizens, and anyone that has possibly this COVID-19. With that, amen.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vice Mayor. And moving on to the Pledge of Allegiance. Are you leaving it on that screen, Randy? Okay, there we go. The Pledge of Allegiance
Allegiance
to
to the flag
of the United
of the United
States
States
of
of America,
and to the republic
to the
republic
for which it stands,
one nation,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Grimm. And moving on, communications none. City manager's report, Mr. Bridge, it is back to you,
Action
sir.
on the minutes.
Action on the minutes.
I'm sorry, I skipped right over it. My apologies.
So approve it.
11/16/20 work session.
Do
Second.
It was Cobb and Eggleston, I believe.
Okay.
Any discussion? All right, when you're ready, Ms. Berner.
Vice Mayor Cook,
Yes.
Mayor Lowry,
Yes.
Councilman Grimm,
Yes.
Councilman Rodwald,
Yes.
Councilman Nowakowski,
Yes.
Councilman Cobb,
Yes.
Councilman Eggleston.
Yes.
Those minutes are accepted 7-0.
All right, and then the minutes for the regular scheduled council meeting. All right, when you're ready, Ms. Berner.
So moved.
Ms. Eggleston was our first, I believe.
Second.
And I think I heard Ms. Nowakowski is the second.
Okay.
Any discussion, council? And when you're ready, Ms. Berner.
Councilman Cobb,
Yes.
Councilman Eggleston,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cook,
Yes.
Mayor Lowry,
Yes.
Councilman Grimm,
Yes.
Councilman Rodwald,
Yes.
Councilman Nowakowski.
Yes.
Those minutes are also accepted 7-0.
Thank you very much, Ms. Berner. And moving on to communications, none tonight. City manager's report is attached along with the city manager, Mr. Bridge.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. All right, we see the city manager report up here. All right. So I'd like to discuss with city council and members of our citizen base and business owner base, and those of us watching this evening, the city manager report. So this is the first meeting of December, so we have no department report, so we just jump on other items. I did attach the Clark County Health COVID-19 updates. It is in with this package. It is start right down here for those of us who are looking, following online. So that is always packed full of information, so please take a look at that. We do have what we discussed a little bit in the items in the work session. The Adams Tower, the flow testing results are in. We did attach the PDF with those flow test results. I don't know if there's any more discussion on that, but I will leave it up to council to say if we need more discussion on that or how we want to move forward.
Council, any discussion?
On Adams Tower,
Yes, sir.
I think we need to, or I'll make a motion to bring it down.
I'll second it.
A motion by Mr. Cobb and a second by Mr. Vice Mayor to remove the Adams Street Tower. Does either one of you need to elaborate on that, or does council have any other questions or comments on that motion?
Do what, Mayor?
I didn't know if you or Mr. Vice Mayor wanted to elaborate on the motion or,
Well-
I mean, I know we went over it in the work session. I think we're all in the loop with what's going on. So.
I mean,
I think we're all on the same page. It's going to be an expensive proposition to leave it sitting there. And I believe that Mr. Kitco, the service director, does not want to see that thing sitting there empty because it's going to possibly come down somewhere on somebody. So I think that withstanding, we need to get it down.
Very much.
I mean, I agree. I think that's the best option financially. I don't think leaving it up and not in service is not an option based off of what Mr. Kitco said during the work session. It become a liability not only for the city, but the people who live around it. The maintenance on it would be astronomical for something that's just there to make the skyline look better. And it's not needed. It's for the city to maintain. It's water efficiency and for expansion in the future. It's definitely not needed. So I agree with Mr. Vice Mayor Cook and Mr. Cobb.
Thank you, Mr. Roadwall. Mr. Bridge, did you have something you wanted to add?
Yeah, I did. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. For the record, I know we discussed the dollar amounts in the work session. Mr. Kitco, for the regular session and for the record, can you just give a very quick rehash on the dollar amounts associated with each avenue that council has to go down?
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Bridge, Mayor and Council. For Adam Street water tower to come down, water flow tests have passed. It is eligible to come down via the EPA's requirement. 2, an overcoat would be an estimated 90 cents per 1,000 gallon rate increase to cover the cost of about $350,000 over 5 years for repayment. Item 2 would be a full blast of the Adams Tower at $1.25 per 1,000 gallons estimated, which would be payable over 5 years to the company for a full rehabilitation of the tower and bring it up to code. And the last avenue would be for removal, which it is eligible for an estimated demo cost of $36,300 and then an asbestos inspection fee of $800 for the tower company to remove it. Is there anything else further, or did I not cover anything, or let me know?
No, that sounds great. I just wanted the viewers who are tuning into this meeting and perhaps didn't see the last meeting to be able to follow what council's decisions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bridge and Mr. Kitco. Anyone else on this topic before we call for a vote? All right, Ms. Berner, when you're ready, please, would you call for the vote?
Yes. Mayor Lowry,
Yes.
Councilman Grimm,
It would be great to keep the skyline of our historical value. It'd probably be a good idea if we had more money than we knew what to do with, but we don't. So I vote yes.
Councilman Roadwald,
Yes.
Councilwoman Noakowski,
Yes.
Councilman Cobb,
Yes.
Councilwoman Eggleston,
I agree with Dale. I hate to see it go, but yes.
and Vice Mayor Cook.
Yes.
All right, the motion to remove the Adams Tower passes 7-0.
Thank you, Ms. Berner. Appreciate that. And back to you, Mr. Bridge, with your report.
Okay, let me get my share screen thing back up here. Just give me a moment. Okay, so shelter house renovations, I did go ahead and cancel for January 2021. That, like we did last year, will be a review by month to month. And of course, the whatever state of Ohio or perhaps county mandates we have to take in consideration will also be taken into consideration for the shelter house rentals. So I did just want to share with council about that. Not sure how February is going to look. I'm not sure how March is going to look. But I did not feel comfortable with having people in there in January 2021. If that's something that council wants to look at for February, March, I will definitely note it on my January meeting packet for you guys, but I did want to bring everyone up to date with that. What is council's opinions on the shelter house moving forward in 2021?
Council? Any comments from Mr. Bridge?
You mean open it back up, what you're talking about?
Well, yeah, we did. I just went ahead and canceled it for January 21, but February and March, I mean, what's council's outlook with COVID, what's going on? And we got the vaccine coming in. And to play devil's advocate, we do have some means to go in and sanitize, but that's, that's man hours we have to account for. But I don't like to make these decisions. This one in January is kind of one I just kind of did it on my own. But February and March, I would love to have council's opinion on it.
Well, the numbers are still high out there. We just, today was the lowest, I think, since 4 days. We was at 7,000, a little over 7,000. Past 4 days, we've been at 10,000 or a little over 10,000. I would go into at least January because it's going to be sometime January, February before they get the vaccine out here. Because first ones to get it's doctors, nurses, first responders.
Mm-hmm.
And the old people.
Speak for yourself.
I am.
Hey, at least he owned it.
Did you have anything else on that, Mr. Vice Mayor?
Yes, I will concur with Mr. Cobb. However, I believe that they have already stressed the fact that even if you take the vaccine, the possibility of still being a carrier could possibly be paramount. My feeling is we keep it closed for January. End of January, we look at February and do the same thing for March. But I personally do not see that thing coming back online until probably late April, early May.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Mr. Rodwell.
I agree with Vice Mayor. I mean, I wouldn't want it to be open until probably April at the earliest, May, when you can still be able to have people outside if the population gets too high, or and we're still under mandates from the governor for how many people we can have inside based off the square footage. I don't see those lifting anywhere anytime soon. So I would be more inclined to just go ahead and take it offline till at least April, until we got some warm weather.
Yep, I would agree with you guys as well. Just take it step at a time, baby steps until we feel that it's safe. You made good calls so far, Mr. Bridge. I would say follow the lead. Mr. Cobb.
Thank you. Mr. Bridge, isn't that a series of 2 shots on that vaccine?
I think it's the different manufacturer. I'm not
Right.
probably the best one to answer that. I think Fire Chief is going to have more up-to-date information on that than I would. But from what I read, it can be a 2 vaccine depending on the manufacturer, but I could completely be wrong with that statement too. Fire Chief, what do you know?
The vaccine right now, the one vaccine is a two-shot vaccine. You get your initial dose, then a month later you would get a booster. They do not know it just because of this is all brand new to everybody. They do not know how long that the vaccine is going to hold. They don't know how long it's going to work. They're not even positive yet. There's not any set guidelines yet, even how to distribute the vaccine amongst the healthcare workers and first responders. Any of that, none of that's been nailed down yet. I've got a meeting Wednesday night with the Clark County EMA, Extremely Confined Health rather, and the County Fire Chiefs Association, looking at how our first responders are going to be affected, because they're already asking for our paramedics to be able to administer the vaccine. So the vaccine, yes, it's coming, it's here, it's coming out, but it's not, I don't foresee the vaccine being out to the general public for a while yet.
Thank you, Chief. And anyone else on that topic?
What I'll do, if it's all right with council, is just at the city manager report, when we have the second one of each month, what I'll do is I'll just put a shelter house discussion point topic on the city manager report so we can discuss that. Actually, now let's say that out loud. I'm going to do that at the first meeting of every month, so we have ample time to get a hold of those who may have scheduled that. So this will be the trend, if it's okay with council, is every first meeting of every month. So the first one in January, we'll decide if we're going to keep it open for February. The first one in February, we'll decide we'll keep it open for March. That way it's an inclusive decision. Does that sound good for everyone?
That sounds good.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
Awesome. All right, let me share my screen again, and forgive me for going back and forth here. Okay, so we have a new police administrator. He actually will be joining us on 12/21 just to familiarize himself with everyone. It is Sergeant Lehman. I have been working well with him these past couple of weeks. He is very open with his communications, so definitely enjoy working with him. But he will be joining us on 12/21 to say hi to everyone and give his report. So I just wanted to let council know about that. As I said earlier in the mayor's court discussion, given the month it is December, and the administration right now, we're swamped with projects from CARES Act and closing out the year end and also preparing for town hall. I just suggest that we hold that discussion off until after the first of the year, so council can keep that in mind. Rules of council I attached. Council, start looking over those. What I'm going to ask is we have to approve those at the first meeting every year. So take a look at those. Any kind of changes you want to see, we can discuss those during the town hall. I think it's a great time to discuss those during town hall. That way I can go ahead and make any of those amendments and have them on the resolution that will be introduced at the first meeting in January. Does that sound okay to everyone?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
Awesome. Sounds good. So I have a few discussion points, and I do just want to take some time to discuss this. I am going to go ahead and take it off the stop sharing screen so we can see each other. But I got full bullet points down here. And basically the first one is 101 South Main Street. So we are moving along with that building. We got the painters are done. We had them come in. We do got some, they do got to do some touch-ups. I am going to have Mr. Hutchinson take over this at some point in time, but I do want to just have an honest discussion with council. Some things we had a little bit of an issue, but I just wanted to take a moment and discuss with council. I've been given many projects before in the five and a half years I've been city manager, and there's not one that I potentially went over budget on. Most of them are under budget. I will be asking council to discuss allocating additional $5,500 for the 101 South Main Street building. And this is why. I did have a communication breakdown with one of my administrators about having touchless sinks added to the building downtown. So ultimately the quote for the touchless sinks and faucets for the downtown building did not make it on our quote that we had for the CARES Act money. I would still like very much to go ahead and get touchless sinks and toilets in 101 South Main Street. That quote came in around $2,300. The one we did not see coming is our electrical. We had the county come down and walk through, and they had required us to get an electrician to come and take down some very illegally installed overhead lighting. So the quote on that came back a lot higher than we ever anticipated. It's almost $3,000. So right now we'll be asking council to consider verbally giving us, and by motion, an additional $5,500. If council is not comfortable with that, we at least need the motion for the additional electrical permit. If council should chose not to do the touchless sinks, we can go ahead and reduce that by the amount of that. But as we know, I'm a very transparent city manager. I'm not trying to sneak anything through council. We gave you the word that we could do this under $30,000. This is the first time I've ever had to come back to council for anything that went over budget. But again, it was due to a communication error. We can live without the touchless sinks. I would love to have them in there, but we do need to have the discussion about the electrical permit because that will put us over the budget.
Thank you, Mr. Bridge. Mr. Cobb, go ahead, sir.
Yes, sir. Mr. Bridge, we still plan to put the sheriff down there for right now?
Oh, yeah. That's still, that's still the same.
And, but we still got to redo the electrical down there.
Yeah. They had, I don't know if you guys have been there, they had track lighting installed up on the ceilings. And I'm not an electrician, but we'll just say that they were not installed correctly. Derek, you got anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, so we're not adding any electric at all. someone's over the years, probably when the gallery was there, when they added all the track lighting, they just took just your residential R12 wires and they just tapped them into junction boxes and then just loosely ran this wire up in the ceiling tiles to power all of these lights. So all that was illegal, and it's not done nearly correctly. So all they're doing really is removing all of anything that's illegal or it's not supposed to be there, which we would not use anyways. It has existing light fixtures in each office. It has existing outlets, so we're not adding anything, just removing what doesn't need to be there legally.
Mm-hmm. And how this came about is we had asked the county to come down and meet us at the building to walk through, just to make sure ADA compliance was there and then any other unforeseen issues. And that's when he required us to use a certified electrician to get this removed. He was not comfortable with us doing the work in-house. And because of that requirement to use a certified electrician, that resulted in a permit being pulled. And then we have to have an electrician do the work.
Everything you're asking is what, 5,500?
At 5,500, should council want to go ahead and do the touchless sinks and then touchless toilets in the bathrooms.
Plus the electrical.
Yeah, plus the electrical. So both things would be additional, around 5,500. Now, with that being said, we do have some wiggle room in our current budget because we have not secured any office furniture, but we never really had a big budget to begin with. With that kind of stuff, I think we had like maybe 3,000 for some computer desks. So I don't want to eat into that. That's why we're asking a little bit more. By the time we get done all paying for this, it actually could be a little bit less than 5,500. Should we get a good deal on a conference room table and stuff like that? But the budget was thin to begin with. I don't have any wiggle room. That's why I wanted to come back to council tonight and be transparent with you guys and say, hey, these are the unforeseen things that did occur.
I'll make a motion to give you the 5,500.
I appreciate that, sir.
I'll second.
I think Ms. Nowakowski was second. And any other discussion before we call for the vote? And when you're ready, Ms. Berner, don't forget you're on mute.
Okay. Councilman Cobb.
Yes.
Councilwoman Eggleston.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cook.
Yes.
Mayor Lowry.
Yes.
Councilman Grimm.
Yes.
Councilman Rodwald.
Yes.
Councilwoman Nowakowski.
Yes.
That motion's accepted 7-0.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Ms. Berner.
Okay.
And back to you, Mr. Bridge.
Awesome. So moving on with the discussion topics, current city building, we are adding a wall in the lobby so we can expand our current workforce. That is actually going to be starting next week. So we're excited about that. We do have some, we got to rearrange some things with some of the filing cabinets, but just in case you see any activity going on outside of the current city building, that is what's going on. We got to put that wall in and get some electrical dropped on that. That is going as planned. CARES Act purchases, got a little updates here. All the stuff we ordered is finally starting to come in. I think most of it is in. I will be in the office on Wednesday and Thursday, and I have my little checklist Excel sheet I'm going to go through and to make sure we have everything. But the bulk of the stuff that we have ordered has been delivered. I do know we are still waiting on the sanitizing stations because we just approved the, I should have put that with council. I'll email it out to council. We just approved the graphic designs that are actually going to go on these wraps. And they look really, really good. So once those goes into production, I do believe the only thing we're waiting on are those stand-up stations. With that being said, we have an administration meeting tomorrow at 10 o'clock via Zoom, and we're going to be allocating different departments to help get us some of this stuff. We do have to have most of this stuff up and running before the end of December. So you're going to see a lot of activity with our wireless speakers downtown. We do have to wait for the internet to be installed in 101 South Main Street to run these wireless speakers off of because it's going to have a laptop. So that's, we can at least go and get them set up. We got some stickers on the cement stickers we're going to get down. We have our keyless keyless door entries that is going to be installed. Derek, is he starting that on Wednesday now?
Right now, Wednesday. Yeah, at
Wednesday.
At the current city building.
Current city building. So, and that's going to subsequently go to other buildings in the house. So those are for our keyless fobs that we don't have to open a door anymore. We just put a key to it and it locks us in. And that is going to be way more secure than any other device or any kind of avenue we've used previously. So we're really excited about that. We have the new clock in features in, so we have to get those installed. But this month is really busy for us to begin with, but with the added stuff with the CARES Act that we have to get going, that's why I wanted the mayor's court to kind of hold off until after the first of the year, because we are going to be slammed prior to December 21 to get most of this up. Because after December 21, don't know if anyone believes this or not, people start using vacation and usually don't see them until after the first of the year. So we got a lot to do in the next couple of weeks. But I did also want to talk about COVID-19 and city operations. I've been keeping council up to date with how COVID is impacting our employees, and council's been very receptive to those emails. So tomorrow in our admin meeting, we're going to be discussing new operational plans. I have every intention of still keeping employees on an A/B schedule. What's going to more than likely change is the amount of time that the managers are in the office. We'll probably be going back to at least 1 day a week. I myself will going to be in the city a little bit more, at least probably 2-3 days a week, so I can get up there and do the stuff I need to get done. But I just want council to know the hourly employees, we still got to keep them separated. As we saw very close, we had a big situation in our wastewater plant, so we need to keep those guys as distant as we can, but I will be having the administrators report to work more than 1 day a week. I will discuss that tomorrow with them in our admin meeting, and then I will shoot council an email with the updated operational plans when it comes to your administrators. That is all I have for the city manager report, and I would be happy to entertain any questions. I think, Mr. Cobb, you got a question, sir?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, what's up?
Is it necessary to have everybody in there every other day or something like that? Can't we just have one individual in there?
How we've done it is prior to the COVID outbreak, that's what we had. We had 1 day a week our manager was assigned to be there. We had someone there on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, just one of them. And then the hourly associates would continue to work from home. Then we had what happened. And then I just said, this week, everyone stay out of the city building as much as we can, because I have to preserve the city building for Colleen in order for her to do her year end. We have payroll functions that need to go on. So this week, it's going to be a pretty bare city building. Moving in the next week, though, what I plan on doing is I really have to secure that city building for tax, finance, payroll purposes. So what as we're going to discuss tomorrow between me, Howie, and Derek is possibly using the conference room at 101 South Main Street as a base for us to work out of until we can get through this COVID outbreak. Because again, I can't be having people going in and cross-contaminating that city building when I have certain functions that work out of that building that need to continue. Finance is no different than the wastewater in the water departments. There are bills that have to be paid. So what we're going to do, like to reiterate, is just primarily keep that city building for those ladies, and then me, Howie, and Derek, we can coordinate and work. Howie's out on the road most of the time anyway. We can work out a time that we can work out a 101 South Main Street. I, as a city manager, want to be there more just because of my position. So I'm thinking maybe 3 days a week.
Well, my concern is Colleen and Vicky. They are the oldest. Don't get me wrong. We had, I can't remember her name, the redheaded girl.
Okay. Yeah. So.
And we got to try to keep them people out of there as much as possible.
So it's a very good point. Our tax administrator, which we know who that is, she will be working from home a lot. Okay. She can do a lot of that from her house. She'll be coming in the morning, so picking some things up and then taking it back to her house to work. Colleen will also be working home from a lot too, but here's the thing. We can all do our jobs from home for the most of us. However, there's certain items that Colleen and the finance department needs to have access to, vendor files that are the concern, so that's what we're doing. We're essentially leaving that city building for that particular functions. And then me, Howie, and Derek will work out of that building. There'll be days when I have to go into that building. I'm not saying there's not, but for the most part, we do want to reserve that for the tax and finance functions because it is essential.
would it be not feasible with what you're doing now to continue on in after the first year?
Man, it's killing me, Mr. Cobb. It's dry. I be honest with you. This working from home, I had a hard time with it last week. So that's why I'm saying, boy, I may do it as far as coming into the city. I'm the city manager. I mean, I'm the one.
Well, I'm talking about the other employees.
Yeah, and there's not one of them that's not going to tell you that we've done everything proactively. I don't want anyone to do anything they're not comfortable with. But we have always erred on the side of caution when it comes to the COVID thing. I need to be more present. So I will handle that as far as
we can get your phone booth out in the parking lot.
Well, I appreciate that, but I was thinking maybe you guys can just rent an office house for me for a couple months, but no, that's a joke. But between me, Howie, and Derek, that's who, as long as I keep that city building open for the tax and finance, and Howie, and Derek can work ourselves out of that building downtown for a month or two, then I think we'll be fine.
But can you move into that one downtown right now with an electrical problem?
Well, that's what I'm saying. We're gonna get through this week first. This particular week, everyone's working from home for the most part. But yeah, of course. I mean, that's under the assumption that we can work out of it. Clearly, absolutely.
But I mean, I'd like to see right now where you, Mr. Kitco, Mr. Derek, Mr. Higgins, excuse me. All right, excuse me. Where we don't have everybody coming in and out of that city building as much as possible. I'm concerned about the women in there.
Basically, you just want us three to stay away.
Huh?
You just want to, and I get you on that. So some of the precautions we're taking is like on Wednesday, I'll be in the city building, but no one else will because we got deliveries. And then Thursday, I'll be between the both, but we have the foggers. So we sanitize every day. But I understand what you're saying. And these two guys right here will be the first one to tell you that I'm the first one to tell them to stay home.
I would like to know. I'd like to know how much room that Mr. Cobb has in that office there. Maybe we could satellite from his house.
Well, instead, the dog would sit on your lap.
I'm fine with that. I'm good with that. So, but here's the deal. At the end of the day, employee safety has always been the number one goal. It truly has. But I just struggled with it last week because I think the amount of sheer cases and issues that we had with it. And then anytime that you're responsible for an organization like that and you're not in the city, after a while, you're just like, okay, all right, I don't feel as though I'm being too contributable here just by sitting behind my laptop every day and taking phone calls and shooting out emails. So me as the city manager, I need to be a little more present. But we can space ourselves out as long as we have that other building.
That's all I'm concerned about.
Sure.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cobb.
But if anyone's had any advice of how to keep Howie and Derek home, because they're so hands-on and they want to come in every day, which is awesome.
I got a couple pairs of handcuffs.
No, we're not going to go that route.
But I ain't got no keys to them.
Definitely not going down that route now. We'll definitely, I'll shoot council an email update Tuesday after the meeting, just so you guys know what's going on. I do believe that's all I have for the city manager report. I'd be happy to entertain any questions.
Thank you very much, sir. Any questions for Mr. Bridge? Mr. Grimm?
I had received complaints from residents about 317 Prentice.
Okay.
Apparently vacant for like 40 years. Places falling down. People said they've tried to get the city to do something for decades and nothing has happened. What can we do about that?
Mr. Hutch?
Yep, if you don't mind, I'll take that one.
Sure.
So after receiving your complaint, we did a little digging just to find out, and it's a little unclear. I mean, it very possibly could have been sitting vacant for that long. It does not have water service. I mean, it's not occupied. It does have an out-of-state owner who we have sent notice to and left voicemails as well for a phone that they're at least the most recent phone number that we had for that property. Unfortunately, this past week or two, with COVID being down, my code guys have been at home, so they have not been able to come to work. So it has put a delay on it right now. But the wheels are in motion. Stuff was sent, and it is now on our radar. So that is definitely a property that's going to be on that nuisance abatement list that, X amount of time to be given, which as long as it's been vacant will be very short. And then after that, we will begin the steps of a nuisance abatement.
Okay, because the place looks like it's about to fall down.
Yeah, and what's really strange about it, and I think one of the reasons why it never popped up really on our radar is someone is.
What do you say? Someone's what? It's like a cliffhanger when your internet goes out. What do you say? Yeah.
We lost him.
I'm guessing he's probably saying someone is up to date on the property taxes.
Oh, that he was. We looked into that. Do we know that? What's the last name of the property? Anyone know?
No.
It's not Ruby Monk Moore's old place, is it? Anyway.
I do not know.
Yes, the taxes are up to date. Me and Derek did talk about that because that's one of the clues. But the taxes are being paid. So that is interesting because the house is still going to crap, but then the taxes are being up to date. And when I was at Riverside, we had made the mistake of actually demolishing a house without going through the proper protocols. And then grandkids who had inherited the house had come to look for it and it was gone. So what I instructed Dara to do, and Jake's working on some things, is to make sure that we have all our ducks in a row, because if the house is eligible for it to put on our demolition list, it's definitely to go on there. But it is interesting that it's such in bad shape, but the taxes are current.
Thank you, Mr. Bridge. Mr. Cobb.
Yes, sir. Mr. Bridge, you remember when we went in there, you, Mr. Cook, myself, and we was talked to, I can't remember his name now. We discussed about property that had been kind of abandoned, what the procedure is going through it to get to override to get the property and to get it cleaned up and everything. It's not cheap. I know that.
Yeah, I remember that. I think that had to do with those that were delinquent on their property tax, because that's when he said we can go ahead and have the sheriff's sale put it through their procedures where they do list it twice on the sheriff's sale, and then if no one buys it, then it can come back to us potentially. But that's what's weird about this, is that they're current on their property tax. So we couldn't even send them to the sheriff's sale for the property tax because it's current. So what we have to do is we have to backtrack and find out maybe who's paying those property tax bills and then work backwards from that way. But I'm more keen on doing it, and not that we wouldn't, but just being very extra careful with how we proceed with this, just based on the fact, again, that the property taxes are being paid. Usually when no one cares about the property, they don't pay the taxes and they end up going delinquent on the property taxes. This is odd.
Also in that meeting, there was just, and I've heard there's been a discussion about using drones. If you remember in that meeting, you cannot fly it on the property. You can ask the neighbor to let you fly it on their property, but you can't cross that property line into that, because that's a lawsuit.
Yeah, it is. You're right. And that's one of the things we're looking at, council, is planning department is looking at the validity of getting a drone to assist with property enforcement. But there are rules and regulations with airspace when it comes to those. So Mr. Cobb is absolutely correct on that statement, but it would be such a valuable tool for us to have that we can literally just go up in the air and see what's going on. Because when I was talking to some council members about this, when I first started 8 years ago with the city, and I was a planning director, so I was in charge of all the permits, very rarely did we get pool permits. Well, nowadays, because you can go to Walmart and spend $500 and walk out with a pools pop up left and right, and we don't even know about them. And that's just one example of the things we've used the drones for, but we are looking at that. We haven't made the final determination yet, but we are possibly looking at the idea.
All right, thank you. Thank you. All right. Anyone else on the city manager's report before we move on? All right. Thank you, Mr. Bridge. As always, good job.
Thank you.
And moving on to, let's see, comments from members of the public. If we still have, if we have more, but I want to go ahead and hit the one that we had already read in the first meeting.
Yep, absolutely. Let me pull that up here. So I'll just read it for the record. And it's from Aaron Lokine. And it says, hello, I lived in New Carlisle for almost 2 years now. I am getting very frustrated with the excessive late fees on my water bills, considering I'm signed up for auto pay. I have probably paid more than $300 in late fees. It would be great if you could confirm how much, because it doesn't say on my statements usually. Please consider not ripping me off any longer and change your auto payment terms. And it says, thanks. So, so the public knows, we did actually look into this. We did communicate with Mr. Lokai. We did give him his late fee amounts, and then gave him instructions on how to pay due to that. And just so the public knows, the most you can pay on a water bill under one single transaction is $100, because the vast majority of our bills are under $100. So if your bill is $100 and $101, you're going to make a payment for the 100 and then turn around and make a payment for the dollar. When you go ahead and try to make that one single payment, 121, you immediately get an email from the company you paid online with that says, you have to split this up. We did not process your payment. So the emails were getting sent out, but it doesn't look like they were being responded to. But we have communicated this with Mr. Lokai, and hopefully moving forward, he knows how to correctly do it. Just so the public knows, in a work session about April, we're going to start getting averages. And then if we have to increase that minimum $100 based off the new averages due to the sewer rate increase, we will definitely adjust that. But council did give us the March, April timeframe, so we can get a new average history up that we can present to council. So that dollar amount may change in the coming months.
Great. Thank you for going over that again, Mr. Bridge. I appreciate that.
No
And
problem.
any other new ones?
Nope.
All right. All right. And moving on, committee reports, none to resolutions. Ms. Berner.
Okay, we have our first resolution this evening, Resolution 2020-25R, Introduction, Public Hearing, and Action Tonight. A resolution approving a lump sum payment to all permanent non-bargaining unit and bargaining unit employees of the city.
Thank you. And council. No motion?
In order to start it off, I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Take some notes here. Sorry. So that was Vice Mayor and then Mr. Rodwald.
Yes, sir.
Okay, the explanation of this resolution. This is something that we have never done before, but the city of New Carlisle, as long as many other municipalities this year, we got a little bit of an extra BWC rebate, as Bureau of Workmen's Comp. In 2020, the city of New Carlisle received $98,630.04 in rebates. So far, what we've done is take $36,758.04 of that to pay for our 2021 premium. So that's done. We are requesting the one-time employee bonus of $25,500, and that is a one-time bonus of $500 apiece for all full-time and part-time bargaining and bargaining unit employees. So that does include our fire department. So if council should approve that, we still have the remaining $36,372 out of the $98,000 that can be allocated in the 2021 appropriations. So we are not the first city to do this. Other municipalities have followed suit. So I wanted to present that to council tonight, which is why we have a resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Bridge. And council, any other comments or discussion on this topic before we call for a vote? All right, Ms. Berner, when you're ready, please.
All right, Councilman Nowakowski,
Yes.
Councilman Cobb,
I got pros and cons on this side. I got to vote no.
No.
Councilman Eggleston,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cook,
I have several situations here, but I will vote yes.
Mayor Lowry,
I will abstain to this just because I don't want any confusion on I can't get the word out. Any confusion. None of the pool employees will be getting this money, but I'm just going to abstain so there is no confusion or any thoughts that there's something I shouldn't be voting on as far as employees getting money. So I will abstain.
You have the right to vote there, Mr. Mayor.
I know that, but there's been other times I've had rights to do things that would come into question as well.
Okay. Councilman Grimm
Yes.
and Councilman Roadwald.
Yes.
All right. That motion is accepted 5-1-1.
Thank you, Ms. Berner. And moving on when you are ready, please.
Yeah. All righty. Moving on to our ordinances, we have ordinance 2020-43, public hearing and action tonight. An ordinance establishing temporary appropriations for fiscal year 2021.
Council.
So move.
Second.
Vice Mayor and Mr. Grimm.
Okay. So an explanation of this ordinance. So we are currently finishing up our 2021 appropriations that will be introduced to council sometime after the first of the year. But we do need temporary money to operate on for the first few months until the regular appropriation budget is passed. And that is what ordinance 2020-43 is.
All right, council, any discussion before we call for a vote?
That resolution.
And when you're ready, Ms. Berner, please.
Okay. Councilman Roadwald,
Yes.
Councilwoman Nowakowski,
Yes.
Councilman Cobb,
Yes.
Councilwoman Eggleston,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cook,
Yes.
Mayor Lowry,
Yes.
Councilman Grimm.
Yes.
That's accepted 7-0.
you.
Moving on, we have ordinance 2020-44, public hearing and action tonight. And ordinance amending ordinance 2020-29 regarding the cost of the City of New Carlisle's annual financial audit.
Move.
Second.
So Ms. Nowakowski and second by Mr. Roadwall.
Okay. An explanation of this ordinance. We had actually set the original cost of the audit at $21,400. That was approved via ordinance 2020-29. During that audit, we had determined that we needed to do some additional work to look at financial statements. And due to that, the audit final cost did increase by $2,000. So now the total cost of the annual audit shall not exceed $23,400.
All right, council, any comments or discussions before we call for the vote? All right, Ms. Berner, when you're ready.
Okay. Councilman Nowakowski,
Yes.
Councilman Cobb,
Yes.
Councilwoman Eggleston,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cook,
Yes.
Mayor Lowry,
Yes.
Councilman Grimm,
Yes.
Councilman Roadwald.
Yes.
That motion passes 7-0. Moving on to ordinance 2020-45, introduction tonight, public hearing and action on 12/21/20. An ordinance authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract for the purchase of water softening rock salt. Ordinance 2020-46E, introduction, public hearing and action tonight. An ordinance authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract with the sheriff of Clark County, Ohio for police protection within the city limits of New Carlisle, Ohio, and declaring an emergency.
Council,
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Eggleston and Ms. Nowakowski.
Okay.
Okay, an explanation of this ordinance. This is our yearly ordinance we do for our contracted deputies. It is for the 5 deputies. I just wanted to reiterate, we see the dollar amount of not to exceed, but those are listed for the highest step deputies with the highest amount of pay and also the highest amount of insurance, i.e. a family plan. So if we only get a deputy that's kind of a mid-tier pay with only a 1-person family plan, we're only going to get billed for that. So every year we've had them bill us differently. I think this is the 4th year now. We always have to budget for the highest amount, but we always usually receive well under that.
Thank you, sir. Council, any discussion? Mr. Grimm.
First of all, I'm shocked that the sheriff is not joining us. I can remember a number of council meetings when the sheriff's contract was up for discussion, and Sheriff Kelly was always there to answer questions, to urge for its passage. But she obviously doesn't care. It's probably no secret that I'm no fan of Deb Burchett. She's a sheriff about the same caliber as Donald Sanders. She has violated our contract a number of times by sending us poorly trained deputies. She's violated the contract by not providing us with a police administrator. We've not had anybody from the sheriff's office as a part of our meeting for months. And
that's been my choice, Mr. Grimm, not to interrupt you, but the police administrator thing, they've had someone report to me in place of that. But they've been great to work with.
The contract says the police administrator will be at least one city council meeting each month.
We haven't been meeting in person, so that's why I haven't had them come.
This is still a meeting.
Okay. Just so council knows, just so council knows from a standpoint of providing services, Sheriff Burchett and Clark County Sheriff's Office have been great to work with, and I don't want that to hinder any kind of notation that they have not held their end of the bargain.
Thank you, Mr. Bridge. Mr. Grimm, did you have anything else, sir?
That's it.
All right, thank you. Anyone else on this ordinance? All right, Ms. Berner, when you're ready, please.
Okay. Councilman Cobb,
Yes.
Councilman Eggleston,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cook,
Yes.
Mayor Lowry,
Yes.
Councilman Grimm,
No.
Councilman Rodwald,
Yes.
Councilwoman Nowakowski.
Yes.
That motion's accepted 6-1.
All right. And other business, if you would, that would be great.
Yes, hold on just a second. Didn't have that part opened up. We have our town hall online meeting will be held Monday, December 21st, 2020 at 7 p.m. Details to join the online meetings are highlighted in yellow above and will also be posted on the city's Facebook page. Do we have any other additional city business or anything to discuss about city matters?
Thank you, Ms. Berner. Go ahead, Mr. Cobb.
No, go right ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. I just wanted to pass on a big thank you to Mr. Marshall Gorby and his committee for I saw it called two different things, the Santa drive-through and the reverse parade that they put together at the parking lot at the Brethren Church there on Saturday. It was a great turnout. I think they had over 200 cars come through. So it was great that they were able to put something together for all the kids in New Carlisle and the families to be able to have a little bit of normalcy and see Santa Claus before Christmas shows up. So big thanks to him and his committee. And that is all I had. Mr. Cobb?
Yes, sir. Well, first of all, how'd you and Rudolph get along?
He's bigger than me.
Okay, I want to make a motion here. I want to make a motion. We increase the pool fees on individual up to 10, families up to 20. If you are a veteran living outside the city, I think you ought to be entitled to the same fee as people that live in town for veterans only. And that motion would be, this all goes into effect immediately.
A second?
I'll second it.
I didn't quite catch all of, okay, you said a motion to increase
The pool fees,
the daily admission
the
or
daily admission to 10, the family pass for non-residents go up to 20.
okay, hold on. I'm confused here for a second.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I put the motion to raise the pool fees for individual for one is $10
To
Okay,
get
that's what
in.
golf.
to get in.
No, I thought it was $6.
I'm raising the motion to raise that fee.
So you want to charge residents $10 to get into?
No. Non-residents will pay $10 for individual.
Okay.
Non-resident family pass will pay an additional 20.
Okay.
And if we have veterans, and I don't know how you feel about it, Mayor, the veterans ought to be able to come in the same as somebody that lived in the city to show our thankful for their service.
How would we prove that? Is that something? I mean, I'm not a veteran.
They
Is that
carry
something to carry around?
carry an ex-military ID card.
You're going to carry your DD 214 form?
Yeah,
No, they carry a card. It's
Not
no
all,
better.
not all veterans do.
They all have them.
They don't all carry them though.
Well, that's just something I put in there. If you don't want it, fine.
So you're proposing doubling the rates for non-citizens, basically, because right now adults are $6, kids are $5.
It's going to $10, what the motion says, for non-resident kids. $20 for family.
Well, I don't understand for family. What do you mean family?
4
Family
people in
pass.
family pass.
Like a season pass?
Right.
Okay, you want to increase that by $20?
Yep. And I'll not even worry about the veterans.
So the non-resident, is that $10 for an adult and a kid?
That'll be for, just an individual coming up one end.
Okay,
Would go to $10.
regardless if it's an adult or a kid, as long as they're non-resident, it's just $10.
Right.
Gotcha.
If they are on the family deal or family pass of 4, it would go to 20.
How much is a family pass now?
6.
No, that's the daily admission. A
That's the
family
daily
pass,
admission.
Oh, family pass is 100 and some.
No, family pass is almost 200.
It depends on what time of the year it is. If you get it in the pre-sale, it's cheaper than if you get it during the season.
okay. Let me make a suggestion
I was
here.
going to say,
because
Mr. Lowry, can you?
Emily's trying to make sense of something that I'm still confused on myself. I would suggest, and this is just my opinion, that we do a work session on this with Mr. Kitco and
April.
all 2 or 3 pool managers, because they're going to know more about this than any of us ever will.
Absolutely.
I agree.
I agree.
I mean, because at $10, that's more than the entry rate for any pool. That's
Yes.
more to get in than that. I mean, you're gonna.
Go-
That's
Go to Tip City, you pay 15 for individual. Go to the Aqua Center, you pay 20 for an individual. Go to Clayton, you pay 15 for an individual.
okay. That's just my 2 cents. I think, you ought to. I mean, Mr. Kitco and the pool managers have a better scope of what kind of traffic and what comes in and out. That's just my 2 cents.
And can we, in the process of this, have something in writing before we vote on it so that we can see it?
You've got a
You mean,
motion
like,
on the floor.
okay, hang
I
on. Miss,
don't have a
Miss Snow-
second yet, correct?
Yes,
you
there
did.
is.
You did.
Mr. Cook
Oh,
seconded it.
okay.
But let me back up. I heard Miss Nowakowski. I don't want to forget what she was saying. Miss Nowakowski, you wanted to have whatever the motion may be written out so that we understand it?
And take it up at the next meeting?
Okay, gotcha. So whatever you're suggesting, Mr. Cobb, she wants it just kind of laid out in more detail, basically.
And
So that
I'm
we all
trying
have
to write it out. I will repeat what I have to verify with Mr. Cobb if it's correct. Which I can do that anytime. I don't
Yeah, go ahead if you want to read it.
now or so I have a motion to increase the daily admission of non-residents to $10 and to increase the family season pass rate of non-residents by $20.
Correct.
I think that's right.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Mr. Kitco, sir.
I only want to add, not to the scope of this portion, but we have daily gates for singles, but then the pass is we have singles and families. I just heard family. I just want to let you know that there's multiple passes available, not just the one. Not that you may not have thought about them, but there is multiple passes and multiple gates available.
Thank you, Mr. Kitco. Mr. Vice Mayor.
All right, I'm going to withdraw my second to that motion. I would like to see the present rates put down on a sheet that's sent to all of the council members so that we can vote on this and thoroughly understand it at the next
Right.
meeting. Does that meet with you, Ron?
Yeah, I'll withdraw my motion.
Okay.
All right.
Hey, Howie, do you have that little sheet that you and April do that you can email me to me?
I can look real quick. I can go back. You talking about last year's season pass?
I looked. I'm trying to do a quick search on my computer. I don't know what I filed to say, but we already have that. What we'll do is we'll send out the information in the flyer, and then I'll get some things on an Excel sheet so you guys can compare. That way, when Mr. Cobb's got some pretty valid stuff there, that way we can get you as much information that council can take and look at it and decide how you guys want to move forward with Mr. Cobb's idea to charge the non-residents more. But there's a few different fee structures you guys should take into consideration.
I would also like to hear input from the pool people.
Oh, absolutely. Good suggestion, Mr. Grimm.
All right. We're still under other business. Any other topics or discussion?
I would like to address an email I sent out to everybody on training, an online training course on diversity. Unfortunately, hardly anyone responded. So I'd like to know if anybody else is interested in going to that.
Council, any comments or feedback from Ms. Nowakowski? Okay.
I would be interested in knowing what is said. I do not have the time to do the online course, but I think that's something that council needs to consider, considering our diverse population.
Thank you, Ms. Eggleston. Anyone else? All right. Ms. Nowakowski, is there anything else you wanted to add to that topic?
Anybody on council willing to pitch in the $50 for me to go to this and report back?
Oh, absolutely. I'll give you the $50 if you need it, Peg. Or Linda, I'm sorry.
Mr. Bridge, did you have something?
I'd love to go. I just don't have the time. I mean,
Right.
year end for me is packed full, but I definitely would love to get some of the information that they have to offer. So,
If council wanted to make motion to send Linda to that training and there's a motion behind it, we have a line item in the council budget for training, travel, and transportation that we could pay for Mrs. Eggleston's course fee.
Okay.
So moved.
Okay,
second.
Motion by Mr. Vice Mayor, second by Mr. Roadwall. Ms. Burner.
To pay the $50 to attend the training?
Correct.
Right.
Okay,
Out of the city's budget, which is in there.
okay.
All right, any other discussion on that before we call for a vote? When you're ready, please.
Councilwoman Nowakowski,
Yes.
Councilman Cobb,
Yeah,
Councilwoman Eggleston,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cook,
Yes.
Mayor Lowry,
Yes.
Councilman Grimm,
Yeah.
Councilman Roadwall.
Yes.
That motion's accepted 7-0.
All right, thank you. And no under other business with any other topics before we wrap up?
Mr. Mayor, I got one thing. I just want to go back to the pool.
Yes, sir.
Huber Heights Aquatic Center is for non-residents is $7. For residents, it's $5.
Yeah, I'd pulled it up too.
Okay. just for,
For the 2021 schedule is what it looks like.
yes, sir. Yep.
Okay. So, all right. Anything else? All right. And I had one quick question for Mr. Grimm. As the season rolls on, you are starting to look more and more like some famous person on the 25th. of that year. So are
Wait,
you?
wait a minute. Hold
are
on,
you
hold
really-
on, hold on.
He's got something. He's got something. What you gonna
There we
get?
go.
There he
There
is.
we go.
And I love it when little kids give me a double take.
So you're gonna let that get bigger? You let it go?
I'm not gonna let it grow that long, no.
Oh,
We'll get to eating those cookies, and we'll expect a weight report
Hey,
on.
I've gained 10 pounds since I broke my arm. I can't fit my jeans on anymore.
hey,
All
the
right.
important thing is though, you can put your jeans on by yourself now.
That's
Yeah.
right. All right. Well, thank you for the fun, Mr. Grimm or Santa or whoever you are. And any other comments, council, before we roll? I guess we'll need a motion to move forward.
So move.
Second.
We had the motion by Mr. Cobb and
Okay.
Miss Eggleston, maybe? I don't know. It was surrounds.
Aye.
Okay. Vice Mayor Cook,
Yes.
Mayor Lowry,
Yes.
Councilman Grimm,
Yes.
Councilman
He said
Rogoff,
it a jolly fashion.
Yes.
Councilman Noakowski,
Yes.
Councilman Cobb.
Yeah.
And Councilman Eggleston.
Yes.
Motion to adjourn accepted 7-0.
All right. Thank you very much, council.